Hi, I'm Johnny Craviotto. About a year ago, I was watching a television special about a salvage company that was recovering 600-year-old logs from the bottom of Lake Superior. The drums that we offer are made from 600-year-old, highly figured bird's eye maple. They come with the vintage-style tube lug, the brass-engraved hoop, and all of the hardware on the drum is plated in 24-karat gold. So here's the story.
He was the guy that had a flannel shirt on, freezing his butt off in the shop, you know, with sawdust covering him, and just like into it.
He wasn't coming at it from a woodworker or a business standpoint. He was coming at it from a musician's point of view. He was just like, how do I get these things to sound amazing?
He wanted to make drums better, till the point where they're the best possible instrument being made today. He was a perfectionist. He wanted them to be perfect. And he did. He figured it out.
When you're playing one of his drums or you just got a new drum from him for the first time, he's got that look on his face like a kid in a candy store. Look at waiting for your reaction. Like, what do you think? He didn't have an egotistical presentation about, there you go, check that one out, huh? It wasn't that at all. He wanted to know your honest opinion and see your reaction. He must have saw it 1,000 times. Every time we would play a different concoction that he made.
The expectations were higher for him, which we could only do that, is deliver, you know? So to please him, what he wanted to see, it was like no other though, you know?
They're sort of the best friend you always wanted, you know? But just like something out of a movie. You know, Chris, I was thinking, that's something I probably shouldn't do, but I was thinking, what about, you know, to be some kind of wood, some kind of, you know.
Being at the NAMM show and him standing in the booth, and just to see him and look at his drums and see everyone that would come up and just go Google-eyed over these drums, you know, it made him feel good. It made it, and rightly so. It should have. You put that much hard work into something, it's great to see other people appreciate it.
When they're being made, it's really like blood, sweat, and tears. But you know you're getting the best product out there.
This is not a commercial product. This is a masterpiece. This is like comparing something you'd see in a museum to, you know, a copy of a similar item that you find at Target. These have soul. These have soul and heart. Come on, pretty baby.
The first thing is that they're hand steam bent shells, which that's not an invention. That he didn't invent that technique, but he perfected it. Then what he did in addition to that is the way he sourced the materials that the drums are built from. No matter what the wood is, it's top of the heap. And then on top of that, you've got these artists and builders that take this stuff from raw to Stradivarius level instruments, and occasionally you'll find things that you cannot find ever, anywhere. And so that's what I think Johnny's specialty was not going and finding veneer quality wood that could be cut down to a 32nd of an inch or whatever it is and pasted to a okay shell. These shells are solid. We might as well be talking about something we did 400 years ago. That makes what Johnny created for the drum world, the music world, a truly unique thing.
Johnny was a visionary, superior skill level, set the bar so high for the quality of drum making, the solid shells, the steam bent, his whole system of the way he did things. They sound phenomenal. They have a wide range of tuning, they're real versatile, especially with the different types of wood. And I've worked pretty extensively on the road with them, and it's just always made my job very easy. Getting drum sounds, maintaining it for concerts, big shows, it's kind of the best part of the day. People are just like, wow, what are those if they don't know what they are? So it's been an amazing thing to be able to work with them.
Craviotto drums is holistically, it's just a better instrument. There's more time spent on these instruments. They're more difficult to make. You can feel the build quality just in the shells. There's a few people in the shop that are slaving away to make these beautiful drums, and you can really tell that these are instruments that the hours spent on them have been dedicated hours, not just an assembly line type of thing. These are real craftsmen building these drums. Now the sound, that's another thing. It's like this is one singular steam bent ply that is just this resonant singing hollow tube. I've always said that it's a very true sound. There's nothing getting in the way. They're so true, they're so tonal that you can hear the difference between the rims you put on the drums. I love plied drums too. My ear just goes to Craviotto every time. I've tried not to love them, but I just can't. Can't stop loving you, Craviotto.
Bottom line is, you can't mass produce artistry. It's just not possible. Craviotto is solid steam bent drums, and it's just not something you can mass produce. If you look at the process, when you walk in the door and you look to the side, it looks like you walked into Home Depot, because it's just stacks of boards, just wood. It looks like a lumberyard. But then you walk through and you look at the literally antiquated equipment we've got to soak the wood, the steamers that look like bakery racks at the donut shop, and then you look at all the equipment. You've got lathes that are 25,000 pounds that go back to the early 1900s that were taken out of shipyards and repurposed to work with our stuff. And then you walk to the other end and you look at the masterpieces that are coming out of there, and the hair stands up on the back of your neck. Here's a piece of wood, and here's what came out the other end after the process. You can't mass produce that.
My sense is that his heart and soul were in those drums, and so that's something he cared very deeply about. And you add the family aspect to it too, right? It just felt like it was the most important thing. But it's funny, right? The quality holds true from solid on. And I think his heart, his heart is the thing that drove him. Just wanting to do something at the best of his ability. Because I think he saw the joy that we had in playing the instrument. That's what he really connected with, was seeing what it was like for us to play those drums. I mean, and that's an experience that unless you have played a Craviotto kid, you have no idea. It's a grand sound. It's a grand sound. And nothing looks like that. That's the other thing too, is the quality control before anything left the shop, and still, what he passed on.
When you hear the name Craviotto, especially if you're a drummer, you expect certain things from us as far as quality, as far as sound. It means the world to me to be able to come in here and be in the position that I'm in for the company and make a difference. I feel like that a combination of everybody, the guys that we have now, even the guys in the past that I completely appreciate that put in that work and the effort, what that means to me is I'm just glad to be a part of it.
My relationship with Johnny was just very easy because, that's the way Johnny was. I think we understood each other, and he was just so easy to be with. He everything was on his sleeve. You just knew, and you didn't have to question much. With Johnny, it was more just a family. It was more of a friendship, more of a personal closeness. With many other suppliers and vendors, it's business. We're friends, or, it's okay to be friends too, but then you've always got that big corporate thing behind there that calls other shots. It wasn't like that with Johnny C. It was just right here.
He blew me away before one Genesis tour. Ran into him at the NAMM show, and he had made a snare drum for me and signed it and stuff. And to this day, it is my go-to snare. It's like I use it every session, every gig, as much as I can get away with. I mean, this guy didn't really need to go out of his way to make me a snare drum. I mean, come on, He was just so friendly. He feels like a best friend even if you hardly know him. You know what I mean? He just had that thing, Like, I felt welcome. It's like your family, come on in.
It's such a small company that I pretty much know everyone at the factory. I know that, it's a family in the long run. I think he, to me at least, is one of the, in a sense, father figures of the drum community of building solid shell drums. Yes, they're a smaller boutique company, but people do know the name. And if people don't know the name, they'll know the name after they hear a drum.
When I strike a drum, I know immediately whether there's music in that for me by the way I sonically hear it, audibly hear it, and then the way that I feel it as it transfers from the stick all the way up my arm, all the way to here. And then it's just like, okay, it's either this is unbelievable, or this is forgettable, or this is shit, get it out of here. And so with Johnny's stuff, I've never had this is shit, get it out of here. That's never happened. Over here is whack, bing, I'm in, all about it. I can't live without it.
Reliability of excellence. Like I know if the Craviottos are coming over, I can show up 10 minutes before a session and go, I don't have to labor and slave over the drums. I've recorded them enough. They're always excellent. If there is like a mystery kits showing up on a session, me and my crew are there super early. We need to listen. We need to check. Sometimes, drums there are lots of great drums. Sometimes it's great, but I haven't had a bad experience, knock on wood, with having a Craviotto kit and a player who knows how to use it in the studio. And I can't say that about a lot of other drum brands.
Well, it means family. Saul was Johnny's right-hand man. Steve and Elizabeth and everybody else involved, they plucked him out of Watsonville, California, and brought him here and treated him like family. I think they understand how valuable he is. There's really no Craviotto without Saul, and they showed him that kind of love, and they show all of us that love. They trust us, and lunch feels like a Thanksgiving dinner. We sit around, and sometimes we talk about work, sometimes we shelve that discussion and just talk about the issues of the day or whatever. But it's a small group that feels like family.
First thing, he would just yell my name, and then we would just start and just having him, come through the door and rushing like he always does. Always in a hurry. Like, we did a bunch of the bending together, so I thought that was fun for me, but not so fun for him when stuff started to break. I guess when we thought we already knew what we were doing, something always had to happen. As soon as we thought, oh, we got it figured out, we didn't, Even like when Johnny, having like contact with the dealers and with the artists, there was a lot of go all the time because, so-and-so had to play a certain, gig or whatever, so we had to deliver, like, so it was always crazy though. We were always in a rush, like,
You know, we're always trying to make something better or different.
He was funny. He was warm, hardworking, very hardworking. A dreamer. I think you'd have to say he was a dreamer. What a dream he had, and you know, here we are still doing it. And he just kept at things. He didn't give up. He never gave up. You know, he worked in this and was committed to it, and then he was gone.
We quickly became friends. We would talk about the drums, of course, but it wouldn't be the focus of a phone call anymore. After a few years, it would just be like, how you doing? You know, he became like my uncle. I actually used to call him Uncle Johnny, and that's just how it felt. And we would get together. He would come and visit me, and we'd go out and we'd have dinner. We'd talk drums. I remember the time he came over, and we were looking at some of my old drums, my old Slingerlands, taking the rims off and looking at the edges. And that's sort of where the baseball bat thing came from. I remember telling him, I said, you know, like, you ever see at the end of a baseball bat, you know, the little part, how it's super round, you know, the Louisville Slugger. So we got some bats. I said, let's just make an edge like that and just see what happens. Like, it overemphasized what Slingerland was already doing. And that's how that baseball bat edge was born. And then we started messing around with different air holes. We were recording a lot with my Craviottos, and I was getting like a sound I was trying to get out. And so we ended up messing with the venting, putting more venting in. It was very collaborative. He didn't just listen to me. And of course, he had a lot of bigger thinkers like Eric and Greg and Saul back from the old days that had some great ideas too, as well as other drummers. Jason McGurr had some great ideas. It really felt like this family thing. We were all kind of chiming in, like we were all interested in sort of getting to the top of the mountain together.
Probably the only company I really know that's like that guys collect those like they do vintage drums. But most of those guys are heavy hitter players, or they're serious, you know. It is the cats that are playing sessions all the time. I feel like those are the guys I want the Craviotto drums. For me, I'm a very relationship-built business and just individual. And so all the guys I love and trust all play these drums. So it's already sentimental to me because of that. I didn't know Johnny personally, but I know his camp, and his camp are the best people I know. I heard, obviously, Johnny, he was always achieving to make only quality. You know, if it wasn't perfect, he would just toss it aside. It had to be perfect.
In a nutshell, they're not distracting. They're so good, and you almost get used to that kind of level of greatness that it doesn't blow you away. You're just used to that amazing sound. You know, I played quite a few drums in my day, vintage, some other brands, etc. And what that solid shell, there's a presence about it that when you play a drum right over the cylinder, a lot of drums can sound good. And that's where drummers sometimes hear most of the time hear their drums from. But when you step away from the kit or room mics in a recording situation or a club or the band members, the first time I remember I brought in the maple kit to my funk band I had called Burn, and the horn section went, oh, wow. Yeah, those are full and present that they hadn't heard from the other drums I had been previously bringing. Or wow, in the studio, you know, what they hear from the mics, and that includes the room mics. There's a presence about them that you don't get from ply drums. And I tell people, you know, well, if you play a kit of Craviottos, you're in trouble because you're gonna want them. Then once you're playing them all the time, you get used to that greatness and they're not distracting. And that means you can think more about the groove, or you can think more about making music, where there's creative, improvised music, that they don't distract you. That's the biggest compliment and why I love playing them.
When I first started playing them, like out on the road, and I would have drummers be like, I've never really heard of this company before. I'd write him back and say, well, you know, this is kind of history. You know, Johnny's been around for quite a while. And then they would be like, well, I've looked up the cost of the drums. Those are really expensive drums. And my first thing back is I would say, well, how many snares do you have? And they said, well, I have 8 snares. How many are metal and how many are wood? Well, 4 are metal and 4 are wood. So I'd say, well, sell the 4 metal ones and get one of Johnny's metal ones, and sell the 4 wood drums that you have and get one of Johnny's wooden drums, and then you're done. Like that's it. You don't get it, you know. But that's what would happen is they would track down a dealer that had them, and then they would play them. They go, okay, I get it. That's really the thing is once you play, you have to physically play the drums. There's something happens when you play Johnny's drums and the efficiency of the shell and the way it reacts. It's really that point of contact and, of course, the note that happens after it. It's really always been exactly what I wanted to hear. That's not just with me, that's with many people that have his drums. There's something in there. I don't know what kind of word to put on. It's a bit of magic that's in there.
He changed the way I do music. You know, I mean, he literally did that for me. As a drummer, he changed it because I'm playing instruments that respond exactly the way I feel. The other way he changed my life is he taught me the importance of why do you play what you play? You know, why do you choose this drum? Why did you choose that drum? And what are you trying to do with this that has to do with pure expression of music and creativity and being an artist? And he taught me a lot about commitment to the instrument. And I was a guy that experimented for years and years and years and years. I tried, I'll try this. I think I'll endorse that. Going from a kid to where I am now, I've gone through a lot of stuff. And that conversation about the instrument was different with him than anyone else I ever spoke to about playing his drums. When I played those drums, it was like, oh my God, this is like, I'm speaking through these instruments. This is different. I can't explain it scientifically, but I know I feel it, and it hasn't stopped. So to me, Craviotto drums represent what modern drumming at its finest actually sounds like. For a drummer that's never played a kit, they don't know what they're in for until they play it.
For me, working with Craviotto, it's a huge honor. You know, I got to say, every time somebody asks me to sign a certificate, it's nice to sign that certificate. I feel proud of doing that. Like we're carrying on Johnny's legacy. It makes me proud.
All the people I love and trust and that I'm closest with in this industry are real tight with Johnny. So those are my people. So I feel like Johnny would obviously be one of my people too, you know.
Someone really unique who came and went, but his legacy is gonna live on. The respect in the industry when he was with us and now has not changed. It's just here. He just kept setting the bar.
It's an honor to be part of keeping something this special going. And yeah, I've always felt that way about this, and I've never looked back on it and felt like, oh, this life would be so much easier. It wouldn't. Might be a little easier, but it would have far less quality for us and for the world in general.
I'm just proud to have known him. You know, I'm just proud to have known him, and my relationship with Johnny and Craviotto since then has just continued, and I'm just proud to be part of the family.
A specific standard that he had for all of his drums, for us to try to match that it's been difficult, you know, but I feel like that, you know, we've gotten, it'll obviously never be Johnny. I feel like that we're getting closer to, he would be proud. I'm pretty sure he would be proud.
There's nothing to worry about when you play them. You know, they're going to sound good no matter whatever head combination, how you tune it, whatever the case may be. But I think the beauty of the company is that they're continuing on with his legacy. And he's in there, you know, sprinkled in.
I still hear Johnny's voice to this day. I'm going to get teary-eyed right now thinking about his voice. Really. Hearing his voice, you know, what a beautiful person. I'm happy they're still continuing and Johnny's legacy and his heart and soul is still with the company, and he's a beautiful role model for everybody.
I think the fact that the legacy continues, is the greatest thing. That Steve and Elizabeth's vision to just keep it going and to provide this world with just supreme craftsmanship in the modern world. He was an older man when I got close with him, and to see somebody still giving a shit to that level and working as hard as he did, that's something I'll never forget.
He was onto something, and he knew he was onto something. He knew it. I miss that wacky, kind of nutty, fell out of the back of a pickup truck to come see the show kind of vibe that he had, I really miss that. It was so down to earth. If you shook hands with him, you would know instantly that he's a hands-on guy. Just instant.
Craviotto, it means everything. I've dedicated half of my life here, So it's everything for me. Like I said, he taught me everything.
I like to think that he was probably excited for the future. He was always, looking down in advance. He'd always, days, years, we're going to do this, we'd always talk about the future. So I don't think he was by any means resting on what he's done. Okay, I created the perfect snare drum or whatever, I don't think he thought of it like that. Well, I think he thought of it as in, this is a great place to jump off from and keep digging in.
Cool though, man. Yeah.